All right, buckle up, everybody. Today we're going on a deep dive into a corner of the internet you might not expect.
That sounds intriguing.
Yeah, we're going to be looking at someone's gameplay and commentary on Watch Dogs Legion.
Ooh, that's a great choice. It gives us a chance to explore not only the game world itself, that virtual London,
Right.
but also the player's personality, how they interact with the world.
Exactly. And you know how they make choices too, right?
Absolutely.
So our sources today are a YouTube video transcript and what sounds like the end of that same video, but as an audio recording.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so it's like getting two different perspectives on basically the same experience, right? Have you ever thought about how differently things can come across, like whether you're reading something or listening to something?
All the time. It's like tone of voice, pauses. Even those little background noises can completely change how you perceive things.
Right, like reading a script versus watching a play. Yeah. Okay, so let's set the scene here. Our YouTuber, his name is Joey, and he's on this virtual rampage through London.
Oh, I like it already.
Yeah, and his commentary is just hilarious. He uses all this slang like mate and bollocks,
Right.
which I have to admit, it kind of adds a certain charm to his videos.
Adds to the authenticity, I think. And that's what makes Watch Dogs Legion so interesting, as the setting for this, the game is designed as an open world. So the players can go pretty much anywhere and do almost anything they want, right?
Yeah.
Within that virtual London. That freedom that really sets the stage for these unpredictable moments.
Right, which he definitely takes advantage of.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, we see him driving around, getting into arguments with NPCs. Those are the non-player characters that, like, the game controls,
Oh, yeah.
and just, like, generally causing mayhem. It's like watching a virtual tourist gone rogue.
I love that. That's such a great way to put it. And, it really speaks to how emergent gameplay can unfold in these open world environments. The game gives you a framework, but the player's choices, those determine the experience, so you never quite know what's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. And one of those unexpected moments happens when Joey heads to Brixton.
Okay.
That's a district in South London. And he runs into a group of NPCs he calls roadmen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now, things are getting interesting. That term roadman often comes with, certain stereotypes. And I think this encounter really raises some interesting questions about how those stereotypes are represented in the game and also how Joey interacts with them.
Yeah, for sure. He definitely seems to be playing into those stereotypes, He's deliberately antagonizing them, like leading them into trouble with the in-game police.
Right. And remember, we're seeing all of this through the lens of Joey's commentary.
Right.
So we're also getting his perspective on the situation.
Yeah.
It's a good reminder that even in a virtual world, our own biases, our perceptions, they shape how we interact with others.
Yeah, you're right. It's almost like the game becomes the stage for exploring these social dynamics, even if it's not intentional on the part of, like, the developers or even the players.
Exactly. Games can be so much more than just entertainment. They can, they can reflect and even influence our understanding of the world around us.
So Joey gets these roadmen into a fight with the police, and then here's where things get really crazy. He gets arrested too.
What?
I know. He's so furious. He's like yelling at the virtual police officer.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. He's blaming him for killing a young woman, which was actually like another NPC who was caught in the crossfire.
Wow. I know, and you can really hear that frustration in his voice in the audio recording too. It highlights how invested players can get, in these virtual worlds.
Yeah.
To the point of experiencing like genuine emotion.
Right. It's like the line between the game and reality starts to blur, at least emotionally.
And that raises some questions, right?
Yeah.
About the nature of these virtual experiences. If games can evoke these strong reactions, what does that say about their potential impact on us? On our thoughts, our behaviors.
It's a great question. So after that whole chaotic encounter, Joey manages to escape from the police.
He did.
He does, yeah. In this, like, wild card chase through the streets of virtual London.
Oh, I can only imagine.
Yeah, it's like straight out of an action movie, with the frantic driving and sirens and near misses with, like, other vehicles and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, and in the audio, you can hear the tension in his voice as he's, trying to get away.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That's a reminder of how sound design can make games so immersive and create that, like, visceral experience.
Yeah. He eventually manages to shake off the police.
Okay.
And decides to unwind with what seems like a harmless game of darts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's quite a contrast, right? Going from this high-speed escape to a leisurely pub game.
Right. But it shows the variety that these open world games offer, right? 1 minute you're running from the law, the next you're just, having a friendly competition. Or so you think. It doesn't stay friendly for very long. Joey gets incredibly competitive during this darts match. And when he loses, he has an extreme reaction.
No.
Yeah. Like, he even directs some pretty harsh words at the woman who beat him.
Oh, wow.
And it makes you wonder about the boundaries between, actions in the game and real-world emotions, right? If we can get so worked up over a game, what does that say about our relationship with these digital spaces?
That's a great question. That's where we see that shift in tone, right? It's not just playful banter anymore. There's genuine anger and aggression in his voice.
Yeah.
Even though it's directed at a virtual character.
It's disturbing, too, to listen to.
It is.
Especially the threats he makes. Yeah.
Makes you think about those ethical considerations of virtual violence, right?
Yeah.
And the potential impact of that kind of behavior, even if it's, happening in the digital space.
Speaking of impact, remember how we mentioned those differences between the video transcript and the audio recording?
Oh, yeah.
That's where things get even more interesting, I think.
Absolutely. By comparing the two, we can start to uncover those subtle nuances in language, in tone, even in tension.
Yeah.
It's like we get a behind-the-scenes look at how Joey is constructing this whole experience and how we perceive it.
Right. So get ready, because we're about to dive into this fascinating world of, audio-text discrepancies and what they might reveal about his adventure in this virtual London.
And who knows what other insights we might find along the way.
Exactly.
So those differences between the transcript and the audio, those are fascinating.
Yeah, it's
right.
Right.
There's all Joey's experience.
Right.
But, hearing that tone of voice, his delivery, it just adds this layer that you just don't get from text.
Right, exactly.
For instance, take Jody's little, catchphrase, "Pits around in London."
Oh, yeah.
The transcript shows him saying this again when he decides to head to Brixton. Remember that?
Yeah, he does. It almost sets up that whole encounter, like he's looking for trouble.
Right. But here's the thing. That phrase, completely missing from the audio recording at that point. He just says, "Let's go to Brixton."
Oh, wow.
In a much more casual way.
Really? So it's like
Yeah.
It's like two different versions of the same event.
Right.
Almost.
Like in the transcript, it seems really intentional. But in the audio, it just sounds like he's deciding where to go next in the game.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Is it a deliberate editing choice by Joey?
Oh.
Or maybe, just a simple error in the transcription. It really highlights how even straightforward things like transcripts can have that layer of interpretation.
Yeah. It's like, those
It really is.
deleted scenes on a DVD.
Oh, perfect analogy.
Yeah, like sometimes they completely change how you see the whole movie. Yeah. Like, wow, I never thought of it that way before.
And it reminds us that,
Yeah.
we're dealing with a version of reality.
Right.
Even with something as, raw as a gameplay video.
Okay, so another difference that caught my ear was when Joey gets arrested.
Okay.
The transcript has him saying to the officer, "You're going to get fired for killing a young woman, mate."
Yeah. Strong accusation. Almost like a statement about police brutality, right?
Yeah, like in general. But when you listen to the audio,
Right.
the emphasis is so different.
Yeah.
It sounds like he's saying, "You're going to get fired for killing that young woman, mate."
Subtle but important.
Right.
All right. In the audio, it's less of a grand statement.
Right.
More of a comment on that specific situation.
Yeah. Almost like the transcript is like, making it about Joey taking a moral stance.
Right.
And the audio is more focused on like the game world,
Sure.
those consequences in the game.
And that's why having both is so valuable. The transcript and the audio, we can compare and contrast.
Yeah.
Get a much richer understanding.
Yeah, for sure. It's like those optical illusions where you see one thing
Yes.
and then another, depending on how you look at it.
Exactly. And in this case, listening as much as looking, right? Remember how intense Joey's outburst was after he lost that darts match?
Oh, yeah. Like really intense.
The transcript, it just reads like pure rage, right?
Yeah, pretty disturbing stuff.
Especially, the threats toward the woman.
Yeah, for sure.
But in the audio, I don't know. I kind of pick up on this, like, almost like dark humor underneath.
Oh, really?
Yeah. A little bit.
Huh, yeah.
I don't know if you heard that.
Yeah, now that you mention it,
Yeah.
it does sound like he's playing it up a bit
Right.
for the audience.
Mm-hmm. Like a character.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
for those moments.
It makes you think about how much of these online personas
Yeah.
are genuine emotion versus like playing to the audience. You know what I
And
mean?
we see that all over social media, too.
Right, exactly.
Not just in gaming.
It's that age-old question, like, how much of what we see online is real?
Exactly.
And how much of it is just
Yeah.
crafted for the camera?
For the audience,
Yeah.
right? We may never know for sure what's going on in Joey's head, but I think these audio text discrepancies give us clues.
Right.
And they remind us to be critical,
Yeah.
critical consumers of content online and to consider those multiple layers of meaning.
Yeah, for sure. It's a reminder that context is everything.
Yeah.
And even subtle differences,
Yeah.
like in language or delivery, can really impact how we understand an event.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing how much we can learn from just like watching someone else play a video game.
It really is.
Yeah.
Especially with all the, complexities of online content today. It's like we get this glimpse into human behavior with all its contradictions.
Right. It's like a case study almost.
It really is. Like thinking back to Joey's encounter with the Roadmen.
Oh, yeah.
Makes you think about the role of these games,
Right.
and how we understand those social dynamics.
Yeah, I mean, that term roadman itself,
Right.
it's loaded, with those stereotypes.
Oh, absolutely. Associating young men from certain backgrounds with, negative traits.
Yeah. Like it's a real world issue, but then it kind of spills into the game,
It does. Like the game almost becomes this mirror,
Yeah.
reflecting back those things in society.
Right. And not just the words, but the way those characters are portrayed.
Oh, yeah. Their behavior, it all reinforces those existing stereotypes.
It's like the game is showing us the good and bad of how we see each other. You know what I mean?
And then you have Joey, who seems to be like both playing into stereotypes and then reacting to them, so viscerally.
Yeah, like we all bring our own baggage to these games,
We do.
I mean, are these games just mimicking reality or are they actually influencing it?
Right. That age-old question, nature versus nurture.
Yeah.
But this time, it's digital.
Yeah. It's a great question.
A complex issue.
It really is.
No easy answers. But, we can't ignore the impact of these experiences, on our perceptions, our behaviors.
Yeah, it's like those flight simulators
Oh, right.
that pilots use.
Right.
They're not flying a real plane, but the skills they learn in that simulator, can really have those real world consequences.
Yeah, the lines are definitely getting blurred.
For sure.
It's like virtual versus real. We have to be aware of that.
Yeah.
Aware of how these digital spaces are shaping our thoughts, our feelings.
Right. Even how we act.
Yeah. It all comes back to that media literacy.
Yeah.
Being a critical consumer of that content we engage with, whether it's, news, social media, even games.
Yeah. It's about asking questions.
Yeah. Challenging assumptions. Seeking out those different perspectives.
Right. Exactly. Being active in the media, not just
not
passively taking it in.
Consuming it.
Yeah, exactly. So I think as we conclude this deep dive into, Watch Dogs Legion and Joey's experience, I hope our listeners are left with this sense of curiosity and a desire to keep exploring,
And a recognition of, how powerful those virtual worlds can be.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we've covered a lot.
We have.
From, how he plays the game and the language he uses to, those big questions about
identity, bias, all of it.
Right.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's up to us to decide how we navigate these digital landscapes,
Absolutely.
and what we take away from them.
Right. So keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep those deep dives going,
Exactly. You never know what you might find.
Absolutely.
You never know.
Until next time, stay curious and keep diving deep.